More on this. We're joined by our good friend, Texas Senator Ted Cruz, a man who I have said this about. I agree with a 99.9% of things. Mr. Cruz, it's good to see you again, sir.
Chris, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
You have been one of the few voices trying to bring accountability to the malfeasance of these big tech publishers. Facebook has accused Google of, in fact, of treason in not me. Facebook is accusing Google of treason in aiding China's military and denying the U.S. military that same assistance. How is an American company allowed to do what Google is doing?
Look, they shouldn't be. I think it is profoundly dangerous, the power that big tech has drawn in. We have a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires that are the new robber barons, but they actually have a level of power that at the height of yellow journalism, no one could have imagined. That they have declared themselves the censors and the arbiters for what is allowed to be said, for what is not allowed to be said. And it is profoundly dangerous. I think those individuals that you just put up there, and I'd throw Jack Dorsey and Twitter in the mix, are the single greatest threat to free speech, to our democratic process, to free and fair elections that we have in the entire country. And I think solving their increasing totalitarianism and power is an enormous challenge going forward. And ironically, although I guess not surprisingly, as you just played, they're more than willing to get in bed with the Chinese totalitarians who exercise the same dictatorial control over Chinese citizens that big tech more and more is trying to exercise over American citizens.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Let me change to the China virus, and Congress is trying to come together and deal with this on a new aid package. I spent the last month and a half decrying Nancy Pelosi and Democrats for loading up their bill, $3 trillion wish list of nonsense, of Marxist nonsense. And then the Republicans offer today a $1 trillion package that has missiles and attack helicopters and planes included. And I know it drives me nuts, and I'm sure it drives you nuts, too.
It's ridiculous, and it's severely misguided. You know, on Wednesday, I spent the entire day with the president, about 7 hours on Air Force One. We flew to and from Midland, Texas, and I spent a lot of that time to and from Midland talking with the president about how misguided both of these ridiculous bills are. Nancy Pelosi, $3 trillion, just printing money. We don't have it. There's no money tree in Washington. There's no secret vault filled with cash. So that's $3 trillion that is either going to be printed or borrowed from China, neither one of which is good for the country or our kids and grandkids. What do Republicans come back with? They come back with the same basic ideas, just a little bit smaller. They come back with $1 trillion. But they also make clear that $1 trillion is just an opening bid, and they're more than happy to negotiate and bid it up, up, up. That's a real problem. But I'll tell you, Chris, the biggest problem with both those bills is not even the price tag. As bad as the price tag is, that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is neither of those bills are designed to reopen the economy and bring back jobs. There is one central economic question facing this country, which is, do we open up and do people go back to work? 51 million Americans have lost their jobs. It is the greatest economic catastrophe since the Great Depression. And the Nancy Pelosi pork bill is designed to keep all 51 million Americans at home and not working. And sadly, the Republican leadership bill is not any better. What I've been arguing is we need a recovery bill. We need a bill designed to reopen the economy. That means cutting taxes and reducing regulations on small businesses so they can open up, so they can hire their workers back, so we can get the economy moving again. Neither of these bills do that.
Oh, good grief. Let me change an issue with you here. There has been a media blackout, and your colleagues across the aisle, too, they seem to be of the opinion, Gerald Nadler infamously saying that the violence, the arson, the looting, the death and the beatings in our streets, they're all a myth, according to Mr. Nadler. And ABC, NBC, CBS, and the biased press seems to be having a media blackout on this. I'm sure you get reports in your office from individuals who are designed to brief you on what is actually going on. Can you tell America if the violence that we've all been seeing through various outlets, is the violence a myth or is it real?
No, there has been enormous violence. There has been rioting. There have been people physically assaulted. There have been police cars firebombed. There have been hundreds of stores and businesses looted and burned. There have been multiple police officers murdered. And this is wrong. You know, on Tuesday, I am chairing a hearing. I'm the chairman of the Constitution Subcommittee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, and the hearing is on the constitutional right peaceably to assemble, and it's on Antifa and terrorism violence that we are seeing in these riots across the country. These are not spontaneous acts of violence. They're not disorganized. They are systematic, organized by Marxists and anarchists that want to destroy America, and they're being facilitated by Democratic politicians. We're seeing this right now in Portland, Oregon, where the mayor and the governor are politically on the side with the violent domestic terrorists that are assaulting the courtroom, assaulting federal police officers. It is absolutely unacceptable. It's got to stop. And I'll tell you, that was a major topic on Air Force One as well, is that we need to stop the violence, and anyone who commits an act of violence in a riot, they need to know they're going to be arrested, they're going to be put in jail, and they're going to be prosecuted. This should not be tolerated.
That's how we get our civilized society back. Last thing I want to talk to you about is in the pop culture. From the Marxists in our streets to now, it seems this toxic Marxist culture is infiltrating the pop culture. You see it in the National Football League. You see it in Major League Baseball, and now the National Basketball Association taking a knee, donning Black Lives Matter T-shirts for the national anthem. I just wanted you to weigh in on this disturbing trend of anti-Americanism in pro sports.
Look, it is horrific, and it's hard to think of another analog in our history when any major business told a major portion of their fan base, go to hell. Because that's what pro sports are doing. They're saying, if you're a cop, if you're a firefighter, if you're a soldier or sailor or Marine or airman, if you're a veteran, if you love our country, if you respect the flag, if you stand and honor those who have fought and bled for it, go jump in a lake. We don't want you anymore. And it's difficult to think of another instance where in the service of politically correct wokeness, they're willing to tell so many of their fans they don't want them. And it is maddening. It's frustrating. You know, one of the things we'll talk about in the hearing on Tuesday is Black Lives Matter, which, as you noted, is emblazoned on the court, on the NBA court for every game now. So as a statement, Black Lives Matter is indisputably true. It is a truism, is absolutely correct, period, the end. Black lives are precious and valuable. Every human life is created by God and is precious and needs to be fully protected. We're a nation built on the equal protection of the laws. Now, the organization that has taken the name Black Lives Matter, taken a truism that we all agree with, is an organization founded and run by open and avowed Marxists who are advocating for abolishing and defunding police departments across this country. And if the organization, the Marxist organization Black Lives Matter, succeeds in the goals that it is fighting to implement, many, many more Black lives will be lost, because you will see more murders, you will see more assaults, you will see more rapes, you will see more violent crime, and many of the victims of those crimes will be African-American women, African-American children. So if you actually believe Black Lives Matter, you shouldn't be fighting to defund the police. You should be fighting for police protection that keeps people safe. And the NBA and corporate America is shoveling millions of dollars at these Marxists right now, and it is a serious threat, not only to the rule of law in this country, but to public safety. And sadly, yep, we're seeing in our big cities controlled by Democrats, we're seeing crime and murders and violence spiking dramatically, and it may well get worse before it gets better.
American corporations aiding the Chinese and American corporations financing Marxist organizations. I never thought I'd see the day. Senator Ted Cruz, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, sir. Come back soon.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.